There comes a time in everyone's life when they realize their 4K TV just doesn't have enough HDMI ports anymore. When I first got my Samsung 50-inch 4K TV, the two HDMI ports it came with seemed good enough at the time. After all, in 2018, I only had a Blu-ray player and an Xbox One S, so two HDMI ports were really all I needed at the time. Fast forward to 2023 and I've got a PS4, a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player, a VCR DVD combo unit with HDMI output, the Xbox One S, and an Xbox 360. Needless to say, there was a lot of switching cables back and forth whenever I wanted to go from console to player. I knew I needed to find an HDMI switching solution so I could save myself the trouble of swapping cables every time I wanted to go from playing Xbox to PS4. So I did what anyone would do, and just went searching Amazon for something that would work. There were plenty of no-name brands that seemed to have products that would work for what I needed, but for some reason, maybe it was concern for the specs of the unit, or just wanting something that had a bit more professional look to it, I decided to look on B&H for a professional HDMI switcher. That's where I found the ATEN 8-port True 4K HDMI switcher. Maybe it was the simple design of the unit, or the fact that it boasted true 4K specs. For those curious, generally when you hear 4K for a TV, playback device, or gaming console, they're referring to a resolution of 3840 by 2160, or Ultra HD. But with it being a 4 times jump in pixel count from the 1920 by 1080p standard, the industry felt it was close enough to 4000 lines to call it 4K and still be compatible with the 16:9 aspect ratio we've come to know and love. Whereas actual true 4K has a resolution of 4096 by 2160, a difference of 256 lines of horizontal resolution. Looking back, I probably let all the tech specs and numbers cloud my judgment, and I ended up purchasing the unit from B&H for around $345 without even looking over reviews or knowing if lag would be an issue with the game controllers. But the thing is, there weren't too many reviews to look at. You see, ATEN's business model caters to customers with deep pockets and have little need for the opinions of everyday users like most web-based retailers. So it makes sense why I couldn't find reviews for it, since not that many people are going to buy this kind of unit. As far as the ordering and delivery process goes, I ordered it on March 16th and then ended up receiving the package on March 31st. This was a bit longer than I anticipated it taking, and judging from B&H's reply, it may have ultimately been due to a parts shortage issue. That's my guess anyway. I shot video of the unboxing process and found when opening the box that along with the switching unit, we have an IR receiver cable, so you wouldn't necessarily need to be in front of the unit to switch the HDMI ports with the included remote. We also have rubber feet to keep the device from sliding, a power cable that actually has a locking mechanism so the cord can't just be knocked out of the unit, along with the rack mounting brackets and needed screws for mounting in professional studio environments. Now, you've probably seen enough shots of this thing to realize that there's no USB port on the device. And how are you supposed to interface with the device for firmware updates and stuff? Well, that's where this RS-232 port comes in. While it's less common in the consumer market, the equipment industry still uses the protocol for communicating with devices. I would end up purchasing an inexpensive RS-232 to USB cable to connect to the unit and check out the firmware status, which thankfully appeared to be up to date. Note these cables need their own driver installed, so be aware of that if you follow down a similar path. There is also an auto switch which switches inputs based on when a device is powered on. So if you power on the HDMI 1 device first, then power on the HDMI 4 device next, the input will automatically switch to the HDMI 4 device. I ended up purchasing 4 more mono-price 4K cables, so I would be able to use the same type of cable across my setup and in theory have one less potential compatibility issue when using the unit. After getting my ATEN unit set up and cabled up, I went to town testing it. I decided to test my biggest concern first, and that was playing video games. I had just recently bought Resident Evil 4 Remake for PS4 and started playing through it, and to my relief, I couldn't detect any issue with the control input and character movement. After RE4, I moved on to the Uncharted series and did end up running into a video problem where video would cut out from time to time. I wondered if maybe the unit did have a problem with video games. But I remember that RE4 didn't have a single video dropout that I could remember, and turns out there were other people online having the same issue with Uncharted, and that a video setting in the PS4 menu needed to be changed. Once I changed it, I don't recall the problem happening again, so I don't feel I can blame the ATEN switch for that one. For those curious, I didn't notice any lag issues with my Xbox One console either, and as would be expected, movies and video content played just fine, whether it be DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K Blu-ray. Also note, when using in dark environments, the power button has a noticeable glow. To fix that, I just stuck a piece of electric tape over it to block the light. Some things to note, with HDMI switching, there will be a moment of resyncing between the device and TV due to how the HDMI protocol works, and this resyncing time is dependent on the device. with some devices switching faster than others. Also, despite the unit coming with a remote, you'll have to power on the unit with the old-fashioned finger. I tried looking in the included manual with no answer as to why that was, and just asked ATEN's support team, and was told that the remote only enables or disables HDMI output. It's expected to be an always-on unit, which I can actually understand it being designed for always-on use, since it is a professional-grade product, and the fact that I've never felt this thing get hot or even warm to the touch, no matter how long it's been running. Probably should have done this sooner, but let's get a summary of the specs. We've got 8 HDMI inputs with a max resolution of 4096 by 2160 at 60 Hz. In the 444 chroma sample rate, your cables can run to about 16 feet, running under the HDMI 2.0 and HDCP 2.2 protocols, at 18 gigabits per second data rate at 6 gigabits per second per lane. While its weight and height are pushing game console and Blu-ray player territory, I find its metal casing and overall design fits right at home with those type of devices. It won't be looking dated anytime soon. Conclusion time. Do I recommend the ATEN 8-port True 4K HDMI switch? Well, part of it is going to depend on your setup. This switcher is only capable of switching signals up to 60 Hz. Since I have a Samsung 4K TV that has a few years on it and couldn't dream of handling 4K footage at 120 Hz, as well as gaming consoles which aren't the newest models on the block anymore. So if your equipment only maxes out to 60 Hz, you should be fine. However, if your TV and gaming setup are capable of handling 120 Hz at 4K, and you don't want to be held to the HDMI 2.0 HDCP 2.2 spec, you'll need to look elsewhere. Although, judging from the online selection, it may take a few years for 120 Hz 4K switching capabilities to catch up to where we're at with 60 Hz 4K switching. Function-wise, the unit has been able to handle everything I've been able to throw at it, from gaming consoles to media players. Finally, let's talk price. ATEN's website isn't too forward with the price, without adding it to cart and going through their process, but I purchased mine through B&H for around $345, not including sales tax. You might be able to find it cheaper elsewhere, but I felt more comfortable going through B&H than the other websites that I had never heard of. Now, $345 is up there, I get it. ATEN seems to be a company that markets more towards industries with deep pockets versus consumers who just need to get their consumer AV equipment more streamlined. I did, however, find a similar spec product on Amazon going for $100, but I don't plan on purchasing at the moment just to see if it would be a suitable substitute. Plus, with the price difference, I feel something is going on somewhere to get the price that low. As for me, my ATEN switch does exactly what I need to do while fitting in nicely with my other TV electronics. With 5 of the 8 ports used, I feel like this will hold me now and further down the road. Thank you for watching.